I'd like to share that my third plein air painting trip was great and I had a successful painting, but that would be a lie. While it's tempting to keep this painting to myself and keep it under wraps, I want to show it to you because I want to show you what went wrong and how I'm going to prevent that from happening in the future. One of the main reasons I have this channel is to help you identify things that aren't working in your painting, trouble spots, if you will, so you can correct them. If you don't fix what's wrong, 2 years down the road, your paintings aren't significantly better, and that's when people quit and give up. And I don't blame them, but I don't want that happening to either of us. So let's fix this painting. So before we jump into the video, I want to share one problem that I had right off the bat. My first two paintings that I did outside, the first one was okay, the second one was not okay, and I did them both in oil. And thinking that perhaps the oil was the real problem rather than me, I decided to do this next painting in acrylic. Ran into a number of problems with that, one being I have this beautiful new to-go pochade box. It's like a piece of furniture. And it comes with a white plastic insert, and I also purchased separately the glass toned insert, which I had used with my oil paints and love the glass, but of course it's heavy. So in an effort to lighten the load, and because I was painting in acrylics, I thought, well, I'll just use this plastic insert. I really struggled outside having a white background as far as judging the values. And of course, the paint dried on this. And foolishly, when I got back, I just took my razor blade out and started scraping away, and it gouged out this. It ruined it. It completely ruined it. So I do still have a clean side, but I think in future, if I'm painting in acrylics or oils, I'm going to carry the extra weight, have the glass insert where I can have a better way to judge my values and also the cleanup. You know, all of my painting supplies, my refrigerator, my camera, my dogs, there's paint everywhere in my house. But it was very sad to me on this beautiful new box, which is kind of like a piece of furniture. Gosh, the finish on this is so beautiful. When I painted in oils and got oil on the box itself on the inside, that was very easy to clean, but because I was painting in acrylic, some of the acrylic paint dried on the inside of the box and I can't get it off. I know it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. It was just kind of, you know, it's like if you have a new car and you get that first scratch on it, you know it's going to happen, but that first one's kind of hard to take. So for all those reasons, I'm probably going to be painting in oil the next time around, and I definitely will be using that gray piece of glass. So if you've seen the last video I put out, it's about using long handle brushes and holding them back at the very end so that you're putting down very intentional brush strokes loaded with paint. And I started out doing that with this painting. I was very intentional about it. It's a new habit for me, so it's something I'm having to continually remind myself of. I find myself sort of choked up on my brush again. But the painting started well. Again, I'm using acrylics, and I was putting a lot of paint on there and making these slow, intentional strokes. I had drawn a sketch in pencil. I had used a little viewfinder at first, and I tell you, one of the biggest problems that I'm having with these outdoor paintings, for 10 years I've been painting from photographs, and it's one thing to paint a forest from a photograph in your lap. I tell you, to be standing in front of the woods like that and trying to condense it and get an appropriate scale, it's been very challenging. I've been surprised how hard it's been one of the hardest adjustments for me. So I'm going to speed this up. I don't want to bore you with this painting, but I wanted to just say I do feel like I started out well. I think it was a little later in the painting when it started going off the rails. My painting is toned with gesso and cadmium red light, which when it's diluted with a lot of white turns this lovely pink. I was excited about having some of that pink showing through and having a little bit of the glow. I ended up painting over too much of it and sort of lost the benefit of that. But because I was painting outside, because my paints were on a white surface, had my canvas been white, I think the struggle would have been even worse. So having a toned canvas was very helpful. You may not like the pink, but to do a yellow ochre or a burnt sienna, something, I just don't think you want to be painting and dealing with the glare of a white canvas when you're outside. I decided at this point, before I started putting leaves in at the top of the trees, it would help to get some of that sky in first. I'm using a cobalt and a lot of white, and I tried it with my palette knife first. My canvas was really shaking a lot at that point, and I found myself having to really hold on to it as I painted near the top. I had been using smaller canvases with this pochade box. I did order an extender bracket to hold larger canvases, and I think that was probably the problem with it. I don't want to blame it on the pochade box. I think I probably should have just switched over to that longer arm that would have held that more steady. But so I'm kind of varying the blues and blue and white. I didn't try to put in a solid sky. I originally left some of the pink showing through, and then I kept messing with it, and I just lost a lot of that pink. I just overdabbed it, overworked it. Don't let this happen to you. I had been feeling pretty good about the painting up until this time. I had gotten in that background kind of forest and my trunks of my main trees, but then I really started running into problems. I decided to try to get in that foreground color and the shadows of the trees, and that foreground color was just not good. It was not blue enough. It was never right. And even though the field looked fairly flat without a lot of texture, it looked so boring in the final painting. I should have gone in and put some textures, put some variation. There was just too much of it in the front to have it just a flat color like that. It was very uninteresting. Didn't like the foreground at all. Rather than making you sit through a painting that didn't turn out well, let's just skip to the finished painting and let me share the things that I think are wrong with it. First of all, I didn't spend any time drawing in the background. I got in the biggest tree trunks and just left the rest to fate, and fate did not treat me very well in this one. So next time I'll spend a lot more time in that all-important drawing stage. The color harmony was terrible. And part of that comes back to the fact that I did not pre-mix my colors. I think that was perhaps my biggest mistake on this painting. I find when I pre-mix my colors and work them out ahead of time, the color harmony is great and the painting just turns out better. It's amazing how different the colors can look inside versus outside. And I just wasn't reading them well, working off of a white palette. So that was another color issue. For example, where I thought I was really highlighting a tree indoors, it just looked flat. There wasn't enough value difference, but I couldn't tell that outside. If I had pre-mixed my colors, I could have trusted that line of values on my palette, even if it didn't look true on the canvas. And also, I wish I had protected some of that pink undercolor. I'm going to try to be more mindful of that next time. And finally, I'll definitely put some texture and more interest in the foreground next time. So while this certainly is not the worst painting I've ever done, it's not the best that I've done in the last few years. So it's been a very humbling experience with these last couple of paintings that haven't gone well. This was my first plein air painting that I did and got so excited about because I felt like it was pretty good for my first time out, and I feel like it's done nothing but decline ever since then. And the tendency when that happens is just to want to curl up in a ball and give up on it. But instead, this morning, I just finished watching a video that Ian Roberts did. If you're not familiar with him, he is a fabulous teacher. He explains things really well. You can watch him paint. I watched his color mixture very carefully this morning, and I'm just really reinvigorated that I can do this. I'm not going to quit and give up. And I just want to encourage you, even though this particular video may not have been one of my most upbeat videos, it is an example of things that can go wrong, things not to do in your painting, and just to keep your eye on. So I'm going to do this again. I've just ordered some Vine charcoal, so I'm going to be more intentional about getting my drawing in. I was looking at Ian Roberts' color palette, and I've ordered 2 new colors that I'm going to add to my Cobra water mixable oils. They're coming tomorrow. I'm going to take those with me and see if I can duplicate his method of color mixing and see if I can't do a whole lot better on this next video. So stay tuned. I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss that next video that's coming out soon. I've got a free video for you at my website on some of my favorite colors and how I use them in different applications. It's a free download. And also at my website, I have a lot of real-time short courses and tutorials that are very inexpensively priced, where you can see me with some paintings that did work well, and you can see how I did them. So I hope this was good for you. I really appreciate your time. God bless.